This week I've been reading through the words of Jeremiah 31, which was a message of hope for a nation in crisis. Thousands of people had died, and people were wondering, how do we rebuild from this point? What hope is there? And I was wondering, what might that sound like for us in our nation, in our city, specifically in Salford? And here's some of the words that I came up with. Those who come through this time will find favour in the wilderness. He has loved us with an everlasting love. He has drawn us with unfailing kindness. Again, we will take up our footballs and have a kick around in the park. Again, we'll hear the sounds of laughter as kids play on slides, and we hear the ice cream van. Again, there will be talking at school gates, shopping for fun, and a sharing platter with unlimited drinks at Nando's. There will be a time again when glasses will clink in beer gardens, and parents will moan in the school playground, and stadiums will resound to the chants of thousands and thousands of people singing inappropriate songs and high-fiving each other. There will be plays at the Lowry for a 10 quid for Salford residents. There will be chip shops with 1-star hygiene ratings that make the best salt and pepper chips in the city. There will be people coming round to my house for a fire and toasted marshmallows. Again, we'll gather in churches and we'll share bread and wine together. And we'll share firm, godly handshakes and awkward hugs. And some people will give awkward prophetic words about a waterfall that's somehow related to Jeremiah 29 verse 11. The after-church chats will last longer than before. The singing will be louder. The smiles will be warmer. Choirs will sing and preachers will preach. And young and old, and male and female, and black and white, and rich and poor, and saints and sinners will once again come together in one place to Jesus' table and express the eclectic, messy miracle that is the Church of Jesus. There will be countryside walks, there will be park runs, we'll make plans for massive Christmas get-togethers, weekends away, and maybe a pilgrimage to the Vimto statue in town. Students will make each other pasta again, and maybe some beans on toast. Grandmas and granddads will be able to look after the kids again, and for the first hour, they'll love it. We'll be able to moan about Brexit and Man United and the weather. But this is Easter Sunday, the greatest day in the year, remembering the greatest day in history. Easter Sunday gives us so much more than that. All that amazing stuff is just a tiny signpost to the promise of Easter. Easter is the deposit that guarantees us that the best is yet to come. It's a trailer to the best film of all time. Because of the resurrection of Jesus, everything is different. The world is forever changed. Because an obscure Jewish prophet was raised from the dead to a new type of existence, nothing can ever be the same again. There will always be hope. There will always be innovation. There will always be creativity. There will always be new life bursting forth, streams flowing in deserts, and light shining in the darkest places. Jesus said, "Behold, I'm making everything new." What we see right now is not the whole story. The anticipation that we feel now of what it'll be like when we get through this is nothing compared to the anticipation felt by the creation itself for the day when God will put everything to rights again. The creation is groaning for that day. Some of you, some of us, feel that groaning now within ourselves, that longing for justice and peace and joy. Let that grow within you, and you are joining in with what God is doing in this world, what the Bible calls the new creation. And we're promised some amazing things about the day when God will put the world to rights. That wars will cease, people will beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. We're going to be invited to a massive feast prepared by God himself, the finest of wines and the best of meats. On that day, the Bible tells us that God will destroy the shroud that enfolds all people. On that day, God will swallow up death forever. He will wipe away the tears from all faces. And on that day, I'll find an answer to the question that I was asked by a 9-year-old girl a few years ago who was from a really difficult background. And she looked at me with these incredibly sad eyes and she said, "Chris, is it all going to be okay? Is it all going to be okay?" And on that day, I will be able to say, yes, it is all going to be okay. Because of Jesus' resurrection, all will be well. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. He is the resurrection and the life. He's the hope of all the world. Because of him, the winter has passed. The rains are gone. Flowers are over the earth, and a time of singing is here. The singing of birds is heard in the land. There is a day coming when we will hear a loud shout from the throne of God, saying, "Look, God's dwelling place is now with his people, and he will dwell among them. They will be his people, and God himself will be their God. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death, or mourning, or crying, or pain, for the old order of things has passed away." Jesus is making everything new. On that day, the day that God restores all things, I'll get to see my granddad again, who had a wooden leg and used to keep his money in it and taught me how to play chess. And he can tell me some jokes again like he used to. On that day, I'll get to see my little grandma, who was about 4'10", and she used to look after me when I was ill and give me chicken and leek cuppa soup and introduce me to the TV programme Neighbours. On that day, I'll get to see my cousin Anthony, and we'll kick a football around together again, and we'll talk about the rise and fall of Man United in all those years since he died. And together we'll all be able to say the words of the Apostle Paul: "Death has been swallowed up in victory. Where, O death, is your victory? Where, death, is your sting? Thanks be to God, for he gives us the victory through our Lord Jesus Christ." Today on Easter Sunday, there is hope for us all because of the resurrection of Jesus. The creation itself will be restored, and today you can be part of that new creation. You can ask Jesus into your heart today, whether for the first time or again, and we can live out the Easter story together, praying every day the words of Jesus: "Let your kingdom come and your will be done on earth as it is in heaven." Amen.